Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I just wanna say right now, bro, Gen Z is not gonna make it, bro. We're the worst generation of all time. We're the worst generation, bro. Like, we're not gonna make it, bro. We're not gonna make it past. Niggas is done. We're done. Like, let's be honest. Nigga, this shit over with, bro. This shit over with. Like, come on, we over with. Like, what the fuck?
No sitting back, can't waste no time. You stack pennies, I can't drop a dime. Why they tryna play, I'ma make them rewind. Coach of the team, I'ma get them in line. Give a fuck about the rollie, I got all the time. If she with me or not, I'ma do it for mine. Fuck.
What's good, y'all, man? We back with another motherfucking video, man. Man, look, we got the Infographics Show again. You know I fuck with the informational videos and just shit like that and shit like standpoints on life in the world right now. You know I fuck with all that type shit. So if you fuck with that type of shit, bro, you was in a perfect place right now. So today we got the Infographics Show, all the reasons why Gen Z is giving up. And if you know, you know, I got the Dragon Ball in the background, nigga. Budokai Tenkaichi 3, man. For the real niggas, man. Real niggas only, man. But hold on, let me turn this shit the fuck down. Shit was a little loud. I don't know if that niggas heard it or not, but let's get to the video though.
They'll be worse off than their parents, financially, emotionally, and politically. And that is just the beginning.
Let me go back real quick.
Gen Z didn't inherit the future. They inherited the fallout. A financial crisis, a global pandemic, and a chaotic political landscape hardly seems like the perfect environment to grow up in, right? It's no surprise that Gen Zers believe that they'll be worse off than their parents, financially, emotionally, and politically. And that is just the beginning. On today's episode of the Infographics Show, we're explaining why life sucks for Gen Z and how it's only going to get worse. If there is one thing every generation has in common, it's that they start with a sense of hope. Everyone is told you can be anything you want to be when you grow up, and we believe it. School is a time to discover what you love, and then you launch into college or a career where you pursue it. Sure, every generation has its troubles. The greatest generation and the baby boomers both saw themselves drafted en masse into large-scale conflicts as they left high school. But that hasn't stopped past generations from making their mark on the world. But could Gen Z be different? The age group that was born between 1997 and 2012, Gen Z has a lot of unique things about it. It was born into a new millennium with very few remembering anything about when the calendar read 19. In fact, if millennials want to feel old, just wait until a Gen Z coworker asks them what it was like back in the 1900s. Additionally, this generation was the first to be born into a world of modern technology. While the internet was a curiosity for most millennials as they were growing up, it was essentially a utility for most Gen Z members. They can't imagine a world without it, and most of them have been using a smartphone since they were kids. But the world isn't turning out how they had hoped. Growing up in a world of skyrocketing technology, no doubt.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for us, this shit different because we seen both sides. Like, when it came to music promotion, the promotion in general, how niggas had to stand at a lemonade stand, how niggas had to pass out CDs for music just to promote themselves. We seen that shit, bro. Like, damn near, but like, we were in a time where the shit was shifting over into the media, like, where niggas is promoting, they show off their phones and shit. Like, that's what we are. We're like the shift into that. We seen the shift. You feel me? I ain't gonna lie, I had a phone when I was like 14. My phone was like 14, 15, I think. Some shit like that. My mom had a settlement. She gave me one of them phones or some shit like that.
Many Gen Z members...
I think it was an LG, if I remember correctly. It was like an LG, yeah.
We're about to enter an exciting future. But instead, it's been essentially chaos ever since the 2000s began. For older Gen Z, the 9/11 terror attacks are likely one of the first things they remember, and the extended wars that followed cast a pale over the entire decade. And that was followed by a terrible financial crisis in 2008 that detonated the job market for several years. It not only set the millennials back years, it created competition between the two generations as Gen Zers prepared to enter the job market. But a much bigger earthquake was coming for the kids. The 2010s turned the political landscape toxic, and for many young people, their parents' claims that America had the most stable politics in the world started to sound like a bad joke. But despite this, the economy was largely strong, and as the youngest Gen Z members hit adulthood,
These ads, man.
This game, you're not ready for it.
They still had hope for the state of the world. After all, It wasn't like the bottom was just gonna fall out, was it? And then, a once-in-a-century crisis happened. The last time a massive pandemic had hit the United States was 1918, as the Spanish flu devastated an already struggling country after World War I. While the COVID-19 pandemic didn't lead to nearly the same level of death, it did essentially shut down the country for months, and that hit Gen Z the hardest. The youngest Gen Zers, only 8 years old at the time, were pulled out of school and left to muddle through online learning with teachers who barely understood it themselves. Older Gen Z lost critical moments from college and high school, with millions missing out on prom and graduation, something they would never get back. And when the world opened up again, it just wasn't the same. We've all felt it. Things came back after COVID, but they weren't as good as they used to be. Maybe the 24-hour diner near you now closes at 10:30. Or maybe your favorite snack bag just feels a little lighter despite getting more expensive. And of course, the many places that had to furlough workers during the pandemic just never hired all of them back. There were few...
Yeah, bro, everything changed, bro. Car prices never went back down. Everything changed, bro. It was a reset for everybody, bro. Every single body. Like, everybody.
Job opportunities, less variety in where to shop and what to buy, and everyone just seemed a little sadder and less friendly than they used to be. And of course, one thing just kept on climbing. If you ask Gen Z what is the biggest problem in the world right now, they're almost definitely gonna say, I can't afford anything. Inflation got out of control after COVID, and while it has slowed down, prices certainly aren't going back to what they used to be. That makes it trickier to make ends meet, with just about everything costing more than it used to. Groceries are expensive, rent is skyrocketing, and the basics of life are getting harder and harder to afford, even if you have a good, steady salary. That is, if you can get a job at all. Ask most Gen Zers out of school and they'll tell you that the job market feels broken. Sure, companies say they're hiring, but applicants report sending out hundreds of resumes and hearing nothing back. Not even a rejection. And there's a reason for that. Workers say their teams are shrinking, but the workload is growing. As colleagues are let go, the assignments keep on piling up, but the paychecks stay exactly the same. And not even the best guarantee of success is working anymore. The oldest Gen Z are around 28, which means they are finishing college or out of it already, and they've gotten a harsh lesson that an advanced degree isn't worth what it used to be. Many of those who took liberal arts and humanities degrees in particular say there is an extreme lack of jobs out there, with many competing for spots in the same faculty they graduated from. The bad news is, their boomer and Gen Z teachers probably can't afford to retire, so good luck with that. And while their parents no doubt encourage them to get an advanced degree to secure their future, that's not turning out to be a guarantee. One of the biggest concerns for Gen Z is student debt. The cost of college has grown massively over the last few decades. Student loans have notoriously high interest rates that can't be discharged in bankruptcy. Older...
But bro, that's why you can't settle for less, bro. This shit keep on going up, nigga. You settling for less. You settling for that 9-to-5 job and shit. You not working on your business. Like, you can't be doing that shit, bro. The shit gonna keep on going up. And you know how that shit go, man. That shit wicked. But nigga, you gotta strive for better. Shit's fucking
generations have horror stories of making minimum payments for decades and paying their original loan several times over because of how long it takes. But if Gen Z doesn't have jobs, how are they supposed to do that? Younger voters have been waging an extended campaign for the government to forgive their student loans. And while previous administrations took some unilateral steps to remove the burden, the current one has been moving in the opposite direction and saying pay up. And that's left young people scraping for anything they can get. Your grandpa might tell you, don't take no for an answer. If you want a job, just walk in there and demand to talk to the CEO. He'll admire your gumption. But today, that's more likely to get you tossed out by security and blacklisted. Gen Z job seekers have fallen back on part-time jobs and gig work, with many working more than one job at the same time. Some gig jobs promise flexibility and decent pay, but some feel like a constant battle. Workers are competing.
Yeah, bro, even at this time, bro, you working 2 jobs, that shit still ain't enough, bro. Let's be honest. 2 jobs right now. Nigga, one of them jobs, you better be making like, you gotta be making like 25 an hour, nigga. That's just to get by. Just to get by, my nigga. Like, what the fuck?
Limited gigs, and their income depends on customer ratings, and platforms like Uber or DoorDash can drop them in an instant. It is stressful, unreliable, and it leaves the workers constantly hustling. And that's left many of Gen Z on the struggle bus. Even among the older Gen Z, they're far behind the curve when it comes to home ownership and car ownership. Only 26.1% of Gen Z owns a home, according to the current numbers, but the rental market isn't any friendlier, with the demand for housing as high as it's ever been. Many landlords are demanding extensive background checks and multiple months' rent up front to rent to first-time home seekers. And that's often too much for a struggling gig worker to swing, and that leads to compromises, like uncomfortable roommate situations. But there's always one place you can go, usually. Gen Z isn't the first generation to return to the nest. Millennials were infamously slow to leave home, with many returning there after losing their job in the 2008 financial crisis. But
if you get stuck on a melody, or if you just feel like you can't get a song started, Output's co-producer is...
But for Gen Z, it's different. Many of them have never launched at all. The price of room and board at college is only getting higher, which led many Gen Z to choose commuting or local
You know what's crazy? I never went back home. I left my aunt crib at like 18. I never went back since. Not that I haven't thought about going back, but I just never went back, you feel me? I just like my independence. I like my independence, bro, you feel me? I like having my own space, doing what I want. You know, just like being in my own zone, you feel me? Ain't nothing wrong with that, like staying at your people's crib and like saving up money, stacking up money and shit. Ain't nothing wrong with that, you feel me? That's the best thing you could do. But me personally, I want my independence, bro. That's what I like, me personally.
college as an alternative. It saves some money, no doubt hoping that it would get them a leg up when they got a job after college, but that never happened. And now the parents of Gen Z are no doubt wondering, when will they take that next big step? And Gen Z are asking the same question. Gen Z is struggling in more ways than one, and it's not down entirely to the state of the world. They were the first generation to grow up in social media, and it's had big effects. Gen Z is reported to have the lowest attention span of any generation so far, although the effect is even stronger in Gen Alpha, who have been mainlining YouTube and TikTok since they were in diapers. But Gen Z still learns and thinks differently than any other generation before. That has led to disaster in the workplace. Those who work with Gen Z in office environments have repeatedly called them the worst age group to work with, for a number of reasons. Their attention span is a big issue, but so is a heightened emotional state that leads to many of them being much more open and honest about how they're feeling. They're less afraid to express discontent in the workplace, which may be psychologically healthy, but maybe not so great for job prospects. And they have a different communication style. They want more frequent feedback and are very open about their values and wanting the workplace to reflect that. And that means for many Gen Z, their first job is quickly followed by their first firing. Given that, it's no surprise that Gen Z is the most depressed generation. A recent study showed that Gen Z had the high...
That's what it was saying on the last Gen Z video I did. It was talking about how, like, why they so depressed and shit, why Gen Z is so depressed. But yeah, just kind of following like that, almost that same shit.
Rates of feeling depressed, stressed, and burned out compared to older age groups.
I ain't gonna lie, yo, I'm a little like beat up. I feel like Mike Tyson had punched me in the face, bro. Mike Tyson to give me hooks like, whoo. That's how I feel right now, bro. I'm a little like, my allergies acting up and shit.
They also report feeling lonely. It's been a frequent concern of those looking at Gen Z that they don't socialize the same way as older generations. They spend so much time online that they're more likely to make connections on dating services that may or may not pan out once people meet in the real world. But if you ask Gen Z, it's because the world isn't friendly to them anymore. Gen Z largely didn't have the typical teenage experience, and it's not just due to COVID. They grew up in an era where teenage independence was less encouraged than it had ever been in the past. More and more towns had curfew rules, malls were shutting down, leaving fewer third spaces for teenagers to hang out. Many had their lives scheduled down to the minute, so teen dating was less of a key part of growing up than it used to be. And so they might have never gotten the training they needed to be ready to make those connections as an adult. And that led them to replace it with something else. But that was a double-edged sword. Gen Z has been called the social media generation, and that has reshaped the way they talk, they learn, and think. It's not as simple as spending too much time on the computer either. The algorithm that dominates most social media platforms feeds them information as they scroll, and it is rarely anything good. The psychological impact of this has led to many people asking if teenagers should even be on social media. It might be too late for most of Gen Z, but in recent years, countries like Australia have started passing laws restricting access to these websites for those under 16. But if you ask Gen Z, they're not just doom scrolling. It really is that bad. The other part of why Gen Z is struggling so much is that they're not just worried about their place in the world, they're worried about if there is even going to be a world for them to reach adulthood in. Polls of Gen Z show the age group is terrified about the impact of climate change on the world, and they are by far the most active group in demanding solutions from the government. The fear that certain areas of the world might become inhospitable to life in the coming decades is also driving their decisions on where to live and what to do with their lives. And it's not the only issue where they are increasingly worried that things are going backwards. Gen Z is by far the generation with the highest number of members identifying as part of the LGBTQ rainbow. Over a quarter of the group puts themselves on that spectrum. This is around double the number of millennials who do, and it seemed like things were becoming more and more acceptable for this group. But in recent years, Gen Z has watched a worrisome trend as backlash occurs to the trans rights and even general queer rights movements. Companies are intimidated into canceling Pride Month displays, and governments discuss actively rolling back the progress that was made. This leaves many Gen Z members worried if they have already seen the country's best days. And it doesn't help that they can see everything unfold as it happens. Gen Z...
I mean, bro, let's be honest though, bro. Let's be honest though. Shit not gonna be always perfect and always good. It's always like up and down. So yeah, like they might take back some progress they made with the LGBT, but just keep on fighting and shit you gonna get that shit back, bro. Just keep on fighting and making your voice heard. I mean, y'all have the platform already, bro. Y'all have the Instagram. You know, we have the platform, bro. That is as simple as that.
Be the first digital native generation.
If they not going for it, but you just keep on talking, but you feel me? Keep on making your voice heard.
But that just means that no one is actually sure how growing up with a smartphone in their hands will affect someone long term. One of the most concerning parts of this is that they are always in touch with the news, and that news is very rarely good. Past generations got their news from newspapers, radio, or television once or twice a day. But young people frequently get it from social media, and that means that they can have horrible images from conflict zones around the world sent to them in real time. No matter what the conflict, it takes its toll on a person's mental health. And the worst part is, it might not even all be true. One of the biggest challenges on social media today is telling fact from fiction. With advanced Photoshop and AI tools, it's easier than ever for scammers to create fake images that tug at the heartstrings.
These
Pepperoni has
ads,
3
bro.
flies, and it's stronger than any other brand.
Usually followed by a desperate plea for help. At best, it's a way to get money out of people. At the worst, it can be a way to fish for personal information and hack people's accounts. And there are thousands of them out there, often based in telemarketer farms across the world. And unlike the scam calls claiming that someone needs bail money, the victims here are almost entirely Gen Z. But technology is not slowing down, and it might be about to make everything much worse. Usually, when a new technology makes its debut, the new generation is the first to embrace it. We all remember spending hours trying to help Grandma set up her first cell phone as she wondered what was wrong with the old rotary. But that may not hold true for the age of AI. The rise of chatbots and similar applications may only be less than 5 years old, but it feels like it's been around forever. Everyone is typing their questions into...
Y'all wanna hear some crazy shit? Since we on the topic of AI bots and shit, bro, have y'all seen, like, no freaky dicky shit, bro? Have y'all seen the woman AI bot they about to make? With, like, the, with the fucking parts and shit, bro? I ain't gonna say which parts, but the parts, you feel me? Got the parts on it. Nigga, that shit look crazy as fuck, bro. I see niggas getting excited about that shit, bro. I'm like, bro, what the fuck, fool? Not the AI bots, bro. Not the AI woman bots. That's fucking crazy. Well, nigga, like, comment below if y'all seen that shit, bro. That shit's wild.
GPT now, and just about every social media company has rushed to incorporate it into their service. But could it be ready to take over everything? Younger Gen Z has been the canary in the coal mine when it comes to AI, and they have embraced it with gusto, much to the horror of their teachers. Students are reportedly using ChatGPT to write papers, answer questions in class, and cheat on tests. And many of them are shocked when they find out that it's considered cheating. This has continued into college, with some students bragging about using the service to write their final thesis, and colleges struggling to keep up and using ineffective plagiarism detectors that often snare the wrong person. But it might have lasting impacts on a whole generation. There's been a consistent pattern of attention spans dipping between generations, but Gen Z and Gen Alpha have shown the most precipitous drop by far. This is largely due to the increase in short-form content on the internet, as from an early age, kids become used to understanding things in short clips. This has made TikTok particularly popular, as the social media app uses short-form video, often combined with music. But it's caused a major long-term issue. Gen Z and their younger cohort struggles in school, and older Gen Z are struggling in the office, with many reporting difficulties with staying focused and balancing multiple tasks. So it is no surprise that many are getting fired from their jobs. That is, if there are any jobs left. One of the biggest concerns Gen Z has is if the job market is about to fall out from under them, and it already has in some ways. Automated AI now screens resumes before a human ever sees them, but that is just the beginning. For those about to enter the workforce, the real storm is still forming, as the combination of recession, tariffs, and AI combine into the job apocalypse. Are we truly headed for a future with no work for anyone? That might be an exaggeration.
Yeah, bro, I don't believe it's gonna be a lot of things that AI, cause AI could do like these things here and there, bro. But they're not gonna be able to do everything like a human, bro. Like, yeah, they could have AI bots in McDonald's whipping up burgers and shit. Yeah, maybe they can do that, bro. All we gotta do is wait and see. Let's see what happens. Let's see.
But the number of jobs endangered by AI could be massive. If a lot of companies decide that cheap and bad is better than expensive and good, artists and graphic designers are already seeing their work being supplemented by AI. Meanwhile, writers aren't being replaced just yet. Plenty of content farms are using it to generate content loaded with keywords. That makes little sense, but it gets the search engines humming. And then there are the people who work with massive amounts of data, be it in the financial, legal, or medical field. Using an AI algorithm to filter through all that makes the work a lot cheaper, if less accurate. Well, hopefully no one will notice. And that's leaving everyone to go, hey, what about us? Everyone is endangered by the AI boom, but older generations have some things going for them. Many of them have more practical skills that will insulate their jobs for a while. After all, no one is hiring ChatGPT to install a new roof or wipe out
Hey, look,
a nest.
YouTube won't have that problem, cause they just made a post talking about that shit, bro. Talking about how like everything AI, like on YouTube, like content-wise at least, like not thumbnails and shit like that, but content-wise, they're not going for none of that shit at all. They're not going for none of that, to be honest. So if you posting content with AI and shit, like they're not flying. That shit not flying over here. Get that shit out of here. At least for YouTube, that's good, but everything else, we'll see.
Whip up a batch of custom cupcakes, and many of them already have a nice nest egg saved up that could tide them over if they need to start a new job. Whereas Gen Z has started off on...
Hey, bro, my fault, Joe. I'm a little sluggish right now because I took ibuprofen and shit for my joint. I took ibuprofen and shit like that.
Pudding. The combination of student debt, a rough job market, and shrinking opportunities to use their skills has raised a terrifying prospect. Could Gen Z become the first generation to wind up poorer than the generation before it? Even millennials ended up eclipsing Gen X due to the eventual economic recovery, although it was quite a difficult journey to get there. But Gen Z doesn't feel like they're climbing up a ladder slowly. They feel like they're sliding down a greased ravine with plenty of sharp rocks along the way. They say that it's not just that they're struggling, it's that the world isn't built for them anymore, and there needs to be serious changes made. And soon, they'll be in charge. Maybe. Gen Z's making its first steps into the political scene, but no one knows what side they'll be on. Before 2024, most leaned Democratic at the polls, but Gen Z isn't easily boxed in. They're political iconoclasts, challenging the status quo on both sides of the aisle. Gen Z politicians have included liberal gun control activist, Congressman Maxwell Frost, and influencer turned congressional candidate Kat Abu-Ghazala, who is a firebrand progressive. None of them are advocating for business as usual, even if none of them could likely agree on what needs to be done. And if you ask the average Gen Z, maybe they think the whole system needs to change. Many say that there needs to be reforms like universal basic income, anti-AI laws, and a change to the role of money in politics to make it easier for them to get their footing. They say the situation isn't getting any better, and you can't have a whole generation who gets out of school and finds the American dream is simply out of reach for the vast majority of them. To which many of the older generation likely says, "Quit your whining." Want to know how Gen Z stacks up against those who came before? Watch
And that's the video. Gen Z, why Gen Z is giving up. Look, don't ever give up. If you watch the video right now, don't ever give up, man. This shit is for you. Don't ever give up. If you Gen Z, don't give up. If you Gen Alpha, don't give up, man. Look, bro, we got a whole world waiting for us, man. And you know, they will come when we in charge, and we gotta make the choices and shit, man. And we gonna fucking win, you feel me? We gonna win out here, man. Just have faith and be positive, man. We gonna just have faith, man. We got this shit, bro. We got this shit. As human beings, you always stick through everything, man. Get through that shit, bro, regardless. So, you know, just keep your head up, man. Keep on fighting. People go out there getting that money, y'all, man. Keep on getting that money. Keep on getting that money, y'all. You feel me? And making the right decisions. You feel me? But I appreciate y'all niggas, man, for tuning in. And I'm gonna see y'all niggas next time, man. Alright, like, comment, subscribe too. Alright, y'all.
My thoughts and then I'm thinking, can you call? And I ain't trying to stall.